Hello everyone and welcome to Battle of the Beast Transformation Takedown Battle number 17. I'm Adam and today we got the second battle of round 2, where we're having two more beasts fight out for spots in round 3, otherwise known as the quarterfinals. So far you guys only know one beast that's made it through, being Doomskull the King of Fear. And I would say spoiler alert, but one, I forgot to do it, and two, this is battle number 2 of round 2. It's kind of on you if you skipped the last battle and got spoiled. So I apologize, but also watch the series in order, please. So yeah, but here we got two more beasts fighting out for a spot in round 2. This is probably the least interesting matchup of the round, but that's also probably biased on my part because I don't think highly of these beasts, but I might think highly of one of them if they for winning this battle. However, maybe not. But let's introduce them. Representing Series 10, Master of the Beast, the killer of Sting the Scorpion Man from round 1. We have Shamani, the Raging Flame, and his opponent. Representative of Series 16, the Siege of Wildor, the only beast from Series 16 to make it into round 2. And the killer of Minos the Demon Bull in round 1. We have Styro, the Snapping Brute. So Shamani versus Styro, I think, is an interesting matchup because it's almost like fire versus water. We had one of those in round 1, with being Chiron versus Okawa, and will it have a similar result? Well, let's get to the stats so we can actually know what we're dealing with here. Shamani the Raging Flame. Shamani takes the form of a huge cat with black fur that gleams like spilt oil. He can leap 20 paces in a single bound, and he has long, vicious fangs. Shamani is an ancient beast, once defeated by the Black Knight of Forton. This beast's roars are so loud they splinter rocks and sparks fly. When he rakes his claws across the ground... hold on. The beast's roars are so loud they splinter rocks, and sparks fly when he rakes his claws across the ground. With a flick of his tail, he can knock grown men flying. Age 330, power 220, magic level 155, fright factor 82, size 192. Powers and abilities: natural weaponry, flame aura, enhanced strength, enhanced durability, and enhanced reactions. I should point out with natural weaponry, Shamani's claws are made of amber. Weaknesses are durability limits. Styro the Snapping Brute. This lobster is bewitched to become the size of a whale, and far more formidable, filled with such rage that Tom could barely handle the sound of this beast's voice. Age 17, power 203, magic level 174, fright factor 90, size 292. Powers and abilities: natural weaponry, underwater breathing, poisonous gas manipulation, poisonous gas immunity, enhanced strength, and enhanced durability. Weaknesses: reversion from pain and small spaces. Okay, so we know the stats for Shamani the Raging Flame and Styro the Snapping Brute. And with that, let's get into the battle, with the battlefield being the clock arena from the Hunger Games Catching Fire. So as both beasts exit from the chambers, Styro immediately goes through the water exit and just makes his way around the arena, making his way up the water walls to make his way to the surface, because lobsters can't swim. Swim freely. They can only make their way along the walls or the floor. Maybe not the walls, but, I got to be some creative here, otherwise this battle will not even start or end. But yeah, Styro makes his way along the walls of the arena, as Shamani makes his way out of the chamber as the Black Knight, holding the flail in his hand as he walks along the spoke of the arena. Seeing ripples from the water, he knows what kind of beast he's facing. He makes his way to the center of the arena and waits. As he does, Styro emerges from the surface of the water, leaps off the wall, and lands on one of the spokes, and instantly locks eyes with the Black Knight and charges up towards him, looming over him. The Black Knight, completely unfazed, charges up towards Styro as well, letting go of the metal ball of the flail, swinging it over his head, jumps and swings it, hitting Styro directly on the side of his face, knocking him to the side, right as Styro was about to grab at the knight with his pincers. He missed, but was able to knock the knight into the water. The knight quickly gets onto a nearby spoke as Styro regains himself, and using his pincer goes to reach over the water to grab at the knight. The knight ducks aside and, using the flail, smashes it into the top of the pincer, slamming the pincer into the spoke, shattering the spoke. Styro continues to try and reach towards the Black Knight with a sinister grin on his face as he knows he's so much bigger. He's trying to grab at this knight. The knight is dodging each one, hitting the pincers with the flail, and just taunting the lobster to try and come at him. Styro has enough of this and just makes a jump for it to try and reach the knight. As he does, the knight changes into Shamani and jumps up towards Styro, lifting up a claw, slashing at the face almost immediately, and running along the back, and leaps and lands on a spoke near, a good few spokes away. As Styro lands onto the spoke that the Black Knight was just on, he turns around and is greeted by Shamani running along the spoke into the center of the arena, scratching his claws along the rocky terrain. As sparks fly, he immediately turns his direction and charges up towards Styro. Styro stares at Shamani, ready to attack, as Shamani, not showing any fear whatsoever, is charging up towards this beast. As Styro goes to smash Shamani with his claws, Shamani immediately stops as Styro's pincer goes right into the spoke of the arena. Shamani jumps and lands on top of Styro, digging his claws into Styro's head, just digging away, peeling away at the scales of the flesh, just getting in there. Styro's roaring in pain and just decides to fall sideways into the water. As Shamani realizes Styro's going into the water, Shamani reverts to the knight form and jumps, landing safely on a spoke before being drenched in the splash water. Styro makes his way to the bottom of the arena, trying to regain himself as he sees blood escaping from him. He then, out of pure and utter anger, makes his way up the arena walls again, appears from on the opposite end of the arena to the knight. As they lock eyes with each other, he charges up towards the knight again, completely forgetting what just happened. The knight wastes no time, spins the flail above his head, and this time chucks it directly towards Styro. Styro sees this and locks eyes with the flail as it flies right past him. He turns his whole head, just staring at the flail as it hits the wall and falls into the water and sinks to the depths below. Styro, confused by this, stops in his rampage and turns round to be instantly greeted by Shamani, leaping up towards this beast with both claws like this and brings it down in an X formation, slashing very deeply into Styro's head. As Shamani digs his claws into Styro, he makes his way onto Styro's head and digs the claws right into the wound, where you can see the claws of Shamani appear in Styro's mouth, because it goes that far deep. And Styro is lifting up his pincers trying to grab at Shamani, but Shamani is running along Styro's back, digging up the scales as his claws dig into Styro's back. Styro's having none of this and just jumps, smashing his whole back into the ground, into the wall of the arena, Shamani is able to get to the tail of Styro and make his way around these giant lobsters, smashing himself into the ground. Shamani instantly turns around and, seeing the golden opportunity, slashes at Styro's underbelly, going all the way down from the neck to the tail. Styro gasps in pain, in shock from this as he comes down to all his legs. trembling as he's making his way towards Shamani, who's now at the center island. With every step Styro takes, Shamani sees that he's relying more on the weights for each step he takes, seeing that he's getting weaker. Shamani decides that he should have some fun with this. As he reverts back to his night form, he just walks up towards this beast who's now struggling to even walk. As he comes right up against one of Styro's legs, he puts his arm against it, just leaning against it. Styro lifts up one of his pincers and goes to grab at the knight, who ducks right before the pincer was about to grab him. As the pincer closes, Styro snaps one of his own legs off. As Styro roars in pain, he immediately loses balance and falls to the ground of the spoke. And the knight is right in front of him. As Styro goes to snap at him, the knight grabs onto the top of Styro's mouth and the bottom of Styro's mouth and just slams the mouth shut before lifting up both his fists and bringing it down right on the mouth, on the top of Styro's head, slamming Styro's head into the ground, breaking the land beneath them. The knight falls into the water as the ground beneath him just shattered. And Styro is left lying at the top of the spoke, just gasping for breath, but also struggling to even move. The knight, using as much strength as he has, tries to make his way onto another spoke, dripping with water, changes into a Shamani, and just prowls his way along the spoke, keeping eye contact with Styro, before coming face to face with him along that spoke which Styro is still on. And Shamani just makes his way up to him ever so slowly, as Styro stares at this beast which he at this point knows that he can't even touch. Shamani is almost like toying with this beast as he just makes his way over very, very slowly, just, crouching down to the ground, almost like Shamani's conceding to defeat before Shamani pounces towards Styro. Styro, shocked by this, is too exhausted to even react, as Shamani lands on top of Styro, digging the claws right into the back of his neck again, and this time curling the claws in Styro's neck and just yanking the claws upwards for Shamani to jump back whilst pulling his claws out, doing a cartwheel on top of Styro. Styro gasps one last time before his whole body just slumps down onto the spoke. Shamani just stays on top of this beast, listening for any sign of life from this beast. But nothing. Nothing came from this beast at all. So with that, Shamani jumps off of Styro, landing in the center island, reverts back to the night form, and makes his way back to his chamber, satisfied with this victory. So that Shamani has won, Styro has lost. If you think Styro should win, please comment below. Think about how my words final and Shamani's moving on to the next round. Now, I know what some people are going to say. This was a very one-sided fight, and that's because it is. In my opinion, while Styro is a water beast and Shamani's a fire beast, I don't see a way in which Styro could win. Because you got Styro with the durability of, the scales on his back, well, along him anywhere. But then that's kind of countered with Shamani's amber claws, which I would assume can easily shatter the shell or pierce right through it. So that ability of Styro is counteracted. You also got Styro's strength with his pincers, which I think is also counteracted with Shamani's strength and reaction timing. So the reason why Shamani didn't get hit at all from Styro, or rarely got hit by Styro, is because of his reaction timing, which helped him there. Also, with the knight being able to go toe-to-toe with this beast, I think is not really surprising either, due to just me personally believing that Shamani is a more threatening beast than Styro. So even with the knight being able to go toe-to-toe with this beast is one thing already. So yeah, Styro kind of got, I would say, got mocked in this battle to the point where it was a joke that Styro was even in this battle. But personally, to me, I don't see a way in which Shamani or the Black Knight, for that matter, could lose to this beast. Styro was able to knock Shamani into the water a few times, but that was as a knight. If Shamani went into the water as, Shamani, there might be a problem. But no, both times Shamani went into the water, it was as the Black Knight. And with that, that's it. That's the battle, with Shamani getting a relatively easy victory here. And with that, that's all for this time. If you like what you saw, leave a like, leave a comment, definitely subscribe. That was the second battle of round 2. Join me in the next video where we got the third battle of round 2 with another interesting matchup. And with that, I'll see you next time.